You know the frustrating thing about being a teammate to Jimmy Johnson? You know everything he's doing, and he's still beating you.
And I think that's the frustration Jeff Gordon especially has been feeling for a number of years.
It's about making an adjustment to the car itself, and Greg Biffle, the driver, told Greg Irwin, the crew chief, no, I like the car, just the air a little low in the left rear, so look for him to come back up anytime.
Boy, we saw the 77 Hornish almost catch the wall off turn 2, and again in this run, Darrell, Sam cannot hold that car on the bottom.
No, the thing just took off. Looked like he had it turned down in there pretty good, but then the front tires just broke loose, and the front of the car headed for the wall.
David Rudeman gets underneath Hornish, takes 12th spot away. Kyle Busch in the back straightaway, and Matt, he's going
to make on that next stop.
You know, I noticed on the pass, Dale Jr.'s lap was a 29.15. Clean air, 29.90. So 2 or 3 tenths off on the pass.
Now Jeff Gordon backed up a little bit on the start. He was tentative those first 25 laps. No more. Gordon, who started 12th, has climbed to 8th. This and 3 other cars in this race, including the 24 of Jeff Gordon that is about to pass Clint Boyer for 4th. Rick Hendrick, reflecting back on 25 years in the sport the other day, was shocked, kind of surprised to learn that his cars had led 50,000 laps in NASCAR competition since Hendrick Motorsports.
A little bit, Mike. He said his car has gone from neutral to really tight on entry. His teammate Jeff Gordon, he's been adjusting his line throughout the early part of this race. He says, I need help turning. They're going to take a half pound out of the right front tire on the 24. Matt.
Leader Dale Earnhardt Jr. will stop a little short in his box, but he does slide forward a little bit, so that way he can help his exit out of his pit stall. He said the car.
Dale Jr. did not take off with the briskness of Tony Stewart, so Stewart and Jimmy Johnson lead Jr. off turn 2. He's under fire from Jeff Gordon in that Special Forces Chevy.
And that 24 car, I've been watching him. He's inching his way to the lead of this race before long.
Bill Elliott back in the race, 1 lap down as the Hendrick teammates battle right here.
Well, you look at that 24 car of Jeff Gordon. Remember, 1 year since he's been to victory lane. This was the last time he won, was this race 1 year ago.
Oh, but he's had a couple of really close almostes.
Real close, yeah. 3rd and 2nd the last 2 races.
Couldas, wouldas, and shouldas.
He'll take that spot away from Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 88, but here comes Boyer in that 33, and the guy on the move, aside from Carl Edwards in the 99, is Montoya in that 42. Remember, started 21st. I didn't think there was any question watching him on Friday. He'd be
Mike with Steve Letarte, crew chief on the 24. Steve, we've talked a lot coming to this race about unknowns, the tires, the spoiler. How is your 24 car right now with those unknowns?
Well, the DuPont National Guard Chevrolet is pretty good. We didn't get a lot of practice, but the team is very well prepared. We got a lot of runs in on Friday. I think it's paying off. Setup-wise, we're a lot like we ran, Las Vegas. So I don't think the spoilers change a whole lot by yourself, but you definitely have to work traffic a lot different. Jeff's doing a very good job with that.
Thanks, Dave.
I haven't seen any indication watching these cars when they're nose to tail that the spoiler is on. You can believe there was a lot of research, a lot of development, and a lot of wind tunnel time before they made that change, because if they're going to change, they want to make it better. They don't want to make it worse.
Here's your interval 1st to 2nd, Darrell. Tony Stewart over Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Gordon. 92 laps complete in the Samsung Mobile 500 at Texas. And Johnson has led 28 laps today. Jeff Gordon racing for the Special Forces, did a little work with them during this week, a little bit of advanced training with the National Guard. I guess it's helped. He's 3rd. Trouble, turn 3.
You're on fairly fresh tires. Now he gets the free pass. Voila, just like Kevin Harvick, he's on the lead lap now with that 12 car. Wasn't that long ago he was 2 down.
Pits are open. Steve.
Jimmy Johnson's big concern. He just told Chad Canals, I might have hit the carcass of the tire from the 83. Take a look at that splitter. Jimmy getting 4 tires and a chassis adjustment. Jeff Gordon says, I'm still too tight. Free me up. Krista.
To the corner, I'm on the edge. Matt.
Could have a change in strategy here for Dale Earnhardt Jr. They may go right side tires only. He does. He is already away. He was a little loose. 4 tires for Tony Stewart. No changes on the 14.
Well, maybe that was the time to try it. We saw a lot of cars do it, like Jeff Gordon, the 24 car.
There's Jamie McMurray in front of Tony Stewart and Jimmy Johnson with 4. Green flag.
Now, ideally, what you'd like to do with those 4 tires is pounce on those guys with 2. Don't ride around here 3 or 4 laps.
Ooh, boy, Johnson in the 48 got in big trouble down in turn 1 and 2. He really stacked them up behind him.
Afternoon. It was rained out on Saturday. Jeff Burton has been gobbled up by Jeff Gordon.
Yeah, this is a battle for second between the 2 Jeffs.
Remember, Burton's one of those guys we said, you know, just keep an eye on him and Kenseth and Mark Martin. Those are 3 guys that quietly slipped their way up into the top 5 or 6 before. I've just seen so many guys come in, raise up their cars, and of course you can put a shim in the top of one of those Packers and raise their car up a little bit. I think we got a little battle for. Whoa!
Oh, there goes the cone.
I think Jeff Burton hit that cone.
Several people did.
He hit it first, and now I don't know how they'll be here at the Speedway, but out on the road out there, they give you a ticket.
Steve.
The call for Jeff Gordon, 2 tires only on the 24, left sides.
Well, he's one of the teams that changed just the right side last time, place now.
Watch the orange cone that signifies the entrance point to pit road. Jeff Burton's not going to get in there. He clips it. Biffle hits it. Let's see who else may have picked up a little damage there. Violation. Let's show you why. From the DirecTV blimp, here they come toward the entrance of pit road.
Note where Burton is now.
Pace car in red. Dale Jr. is first. Burton second. And as Burton moves up the racetrack there, that gives Jeff Gordon a free run on the bottom lane toward the pit. Burton decides to come down to pit, but makes that call too late. Hits the cone. Violation. Pass through penalty. The lead at a 1/4 of a second. Jeff Gordon underneath Kurt Busch. That'll be 5th place. And Jimmy Johnson passing Joey Logano. Well, they've been passing each other back and forth for 11th place.
You know, watching Joey Logano in practice on Friday, felt like he had a pretty good race. Very top groove against the wall, right there where Dale Earnhardt Jr. in 88's running. That's where we're starting to get a little bit of rubber down.
Hey, Jeff Gordon is flying, and Jeff Gordon just moved on Denny Hamlin for 4th. And now goes after Rudiman for 3rd.
24 car is really good today. And started back there in I think 12th spot, and he has really worked his way to the front. Got a fast car.
Well, and Jeff Gordon at 24, he essentially has 4 fresh tires. He did it on 2 different cautions, getting left sides the last time.
The trouble on Reed Sorensen reported as an ignition problem that led to smoke in the cockpit. First race of the year for Sorensen in that number 32, and they have pushed him behind the wall.
Sounds like I may have burned up the wiring harness.
While Kyle Busch, they're still trying to work the freeness out of this 18 machine while he runs in the 8th position. Krista?
Well, Sam Hornish looked like he could be a dark horse, a 7 seed, but he had a great quality. Now he said his car is loose in and plowing. Greg Irwin said that he will get the car a little tighter on the next stop. Remember, Greg Biffle had a great car to start.
Jeff Gordon has gone to the lead. He's passed his teammate Dale Earnhardt Jr. They and Tony Stewart have done a lot of swapping back and forth of the lead so far. Back to our DirecTV head-to-head pit whip, Dick Bergman.
And Mike, one of the more interesting I was going to say Jeff Gordon right now, he's pretty much in his own zip code in that 24 car as he drove by his teammate of Dale Earnhardt Jr.
And the Gordon fans would say it's about time. Jeff has come oh so close to winning, what, 2 of the last 3 races.
Go back to Vegas.
Okay, 3 of the last 4, 4 of the last 5. Yeah.
Dominated Vegas.
Yes.
Had the best car I'd seen a guy have in a couple of years, and wasn't able to win the race.
Jeff Gordon, your leader over Dale Earnhardt Jr. now by 2 seconds.
Mike, looking at our top 5, and I was just about to mention the 5 car could be one of those cars. I think he was actually complaining about a vibration, but for a lot of those guys that stayed out under the last caution, which would include Mark Martin, this is almost a scheduled pit stop, Matt.
Larry Mack, he was trying to inch it ever so close to that window opening. Mark complaining about the car having the vibration. Alan Gubson put it in his hands. He said, we've been ready for you. You have to come whenever you feel like you really need to come. The car had been tight. Left side tires going on. He's away.
Well, I would say we're going to see Dale Earnhardt Jr., his teammate in the 88, David Rudiman, the double.
Absolutely. And you could have taken a roll call. So many teams, DW, looking at the tire that came off Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s teammate, Mark Martin. The car, if anything, was just a tick on the loose side. Good solid stop going on by the 88 guys. What a way for this team to continue. Dale Jr. said it as he roars away. They just feel like each week they make more and more steps getting closer to victory lane. Maybe today is that day.
Ryan Newman and Jamie McMurray are in, Dick.
Well, Newman's car is much better than it has been, Mike. They're going to make some minor adjustments to the car. It's still not perfect the way Newman likes it, but this will give them the chance to do it. The wrench is in the back window. Just a very minor adjustment on Newman's car.
4 tires for McMurray. Matt Kenseth is in 2 spots ahead of Jamie as we begin green flag pit stops. And it'll be 4 tires for Kenseth. Dick?
Well, it's a good thing that Kenseth is in right now, Mike. He was really concerned about that right rear tire on his car and said he didn't want to have happen to him what had happened to Vickers, which was an exploded right rear.
Joey Logano's had a great day. He started tail end of the field after an engine change, but on each green flag run he's roared right up through the pack. Here comes Denny Hamlin and David Rudiman and Robbie Gordon. Steve.
The 00 is going to pit David Rudiman. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment. 4 tires as well. He says his car has gotten better. Dick?
And Denny Hamlin is in as well for a 4-tire change. No worries at all about that left knee today. There isn't even a driver standing by to relieve him. Hamlin positive he's going to run the entire event.
Thanks, Dick. Regan Smith is in as we continue under green with Jeff. Jeff Gordon, the leader, over Jimmy Johnson by 5.5 seconds.
Now this group here, which would include our leader Jeff Gordon in the 24 car, they should be able to go. The only car that has not pitted that stayed out the last time is Kurt Busch in the 2 car right now, running in the 3rd position. Should be on pit road shortly.
That 2 car, Larry, you mentioned him. He's getting better and better and better. I've been watching him. He keeps inching forward to front.
Clint Boyer was last in at lap 118, but here he is along with Scott Speed in the pit lane. And now Kurt Busch will make his appearance on pit road. And then, as Larry said, we should get a break before we have more takers, because everyone else last stopped at lap 113. So Boyer getting 4 tires, and here comes Kurt Busch toward Matt.
And he brought back the race car. He went to victory lane with Mike back at the Atlanta Motor Speedway sister track of Texas. Easy into his boxes of 33 of Boyer leaves. Now for Busch, he's been on both sides of the fence, tight and loose. You can see they've already completed the chassis adjustment. Also, Steve Addington going to go with a slight air pressure change as well. When he runs the bottom in 1 and 2, he's at least a 10th better. So that's where he's been trying to run the past 10 to 12 laps.
Darrell, Larry, what kind of danger do we have right now with a bunch of cars out there on fresh rubber and a bunch more that are going to try to stretch this out another dozen or so laps?
I'm glad you mentioned that, because Dale Earnhardt Jr., the 88 car, is clicking off laps right now around 30 flat. We just saw his teammate Jeff Gordon, like the 24, the 48 of Jimmy Johnson. They are almost a second slower right now on their tires than Dale Earnhardt Jr. is with those fresh tires.
Well, now Carl Edwards and Tony Stewart have come to pit road. Sam Hornish is also with.
Greg Biffle says he needs his car just a little bit tighter in, so Greg Irwin going to make the change with a little bit of wedge for the 16. Remember, they were loose in, so he just needs his car a little bit tighter. Matt?
Chassis adjustment across the back for the 14 of Tony Stewart. His car is too much on the free side, which is what it's been the last 2 stops. A good tear up, great grab, getting that tear off the windshield. The 18 of Kyle Busch, he's been struggling, trying to run top 15 most of this race. At one point they said, no, if we were going to try to fix it, we'd have to go back to the garage because they might have missed it setup wise, but they're not giving up, still trying to take stabs at getting this race car the feel that Busch needs. Significant adjustments on the last stops for the 18. They're going to go for another chassis adjustment again for Busch. Krista?
Kevin Harvick has been moving up consistently. In fact, his car, one of the fastest ones out there right now. He's saying he's just a little too tight, so they're going to make a small adjustment, air pressure adjustment for the 29. He loves the tracks where he gets to slide around and stay in the throttle. That's what he's able to do, a 4-tire stop. Steve?
Well, Krista, Jimmy Johnson of the 48 says, I'm turning that right rear fan off so I can start rolling better. Now, he's also said he's gotten loose on throttle on the bottom because the left rear is wearing out. The 31 of Jeff Burton also on pit road. He has the very first stall off turn 4.
David Reagan, Paul Menard also stopped. Martin Truex. Steve.
Sorry, Mike. Jeff Gordon also coming in now. He said my car was loose at the start of the run, then all of a sudden it got tight. Steve Letarte said, remember, you had mismatched tires. They went 2 rights, then 2 lefts. This time it's 4. Jeff said we're not very good right now. Tight in the corners, loose getting off.
Casey Kane, Jeff Burton have also made stops. Here comes David Gilliland. We're pretty well through this round of green flag stops. Looking for Montoya and Travis Quapple to come to pit road, and that will pretty much complete this, and Bobby Labonte among our leaders.
May could have had more, but he and Scott Speed, he could not get around Scott Speed, who had just pitted just prior to Junior pitting.
Quapple and Gilliland green flag pit stops. Let's take another look at Jeff Gordon's stop.
This was that last stop. We think, Darrell, maybe a little bit of an issue on the left rear.
Yeah, he's, you see the tire changer. He can't get the lug nut off, and he had to reach in there with his hands and undo them. That took a little bit longer. Doesn't take much.
Not surprising to see those green flag stops. Remember, my FedEx understanding the race, longest green flag run, averaged 96 laps, almost 2 complete green flag stops.
You know, I like what I saw with Dale Jr. from the time we've gotten here, guys. We saw him walking up and down pit road with his hat on backwards, kind of cutting up and playing around.
I want to talk about certainly Jeff Gordon, who's had some frustration finishing 3rd and 2nd in the last 2 races on those green-white checker finishes. Currently running 2nd, and Denny Hamlin just went ahead in front of Denny Hamlin, who's running 3rd.
Yeah, he's definitely had. I got the fastest race car right at the moment, realizing that Dale Earnhardt Jr. stopped earlier than Jeff did. But Jeff didn't have the greatest pit stop in the world either on that last round of green flag stops. Cost him a lot of racetrack, but right now he's starting to inch his way back closer to Dale Earnhardt Jr. He is the fastest car on the track, along with his teammate Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, Jeff, Tony Stewart's led the most
up on the back bumper of that 11. And here's a battle for the lead, guys. Teammates versus teammates, 24 versus the 88.
Yeah, the Hendrick team, Jimmy Johnson winning a lot of races, but there are 2 guys that want their share, want to get in victory lane, as Jeff Gordon has the lead on lap 182 over Dale Earnhardt Jr. And by the way, Kurt Busch, currently running 6th, has led the most laps of all drivers this year coming into the race. You can text your opinion on who you think is going to win the AT&T Fastest Pit Crew of the Year award. We'll match it up with Jeff's selection. The AT&T Fastest Pit Crew of the Year award delivered by AT&T, the nation's fastest 3.
Big Daddy back out front, carrying the Special Forces colors this week. Jeff Gordon leads in Texas.
You're watching NASCAR on Fox.
His way past Kevin Harvick. 11th and 12th. Jeff Gordon holds a lead of 1.7 seconds over Jimmy Johnson. You know, it took Jeff forever to win here at Texas. But Steve, he had
great
6.
lap right there, man. That was a good one.
Gordon had 6 top 5 finishes here before he finally got his first Texas win last April.
And he's out front now, Mike. Now, before the last stop, Jeff said, I'm tight getting into the corners and I'm loose off. Well, they have fixed that tight end, and that's helped him a lot. He said, I'm really good in 1 and 2. Still just, Mike. Now, before the last stop, Jeff said, I'm tight getting into the corners and I'm loose off. Well, they have fixed that tight end, and that's helped him a lot. He said, I'm really good in 1 and 2. Still just a little loose coming off 3 and 4.
Right now, just looking at the scoring monitor, Steve, it just looks like the only car that can keep tempo with him is the guy that's right behind him, his teammate Jimmy Johnson, about a 2.5 back. Both those guys in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. Closest thing to them, 60s and 70s.
Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson can go about 10 more laps than 3rd place Dale Earnhardt Jr., Denny Hamlin, and David Rudiman. It should get interesting. Look at this log jam. Matt Kenseth in the 17 and Sam Hornish are trying to keep from going 1 lap down. Jeff Gordon got a little frustrated with him, and that brought Jimmy Johnson right there, right to them, and to the lead. Here comes Gordon back, and they still have not been able to lap the 17 or the 77.
But they will be. That 48 is much, much quicker around the top of this racetrack than what Gordon was able to do. Gordon couldn't get up there and make the pass.
Be Yeah, desperate people are doing desperate things, and that would be the 77 of Hornish, the 17 of Kenseth, trying to stay on the lead lap. Now they put Kenseth in the 17 down a lap.
Yeah, and you know what Jeff Gordon's saying, don't you? Why wouldn't they do that for me? And here comes the 88 to pit road.
Well, he was the first of the leaders to be on pit road during the last sequence, so that will repeat itself here at lap 206 with 128 laps to go. And probably 2 more stops. Meanwhile,
boy, watch this. So this isn't over with yet. Sam Hornish is giving Jimmy Johnson in a 48 and that 24. He's giving him a fight, man.
And let's cover the Earnhardt stop.
And Dale Earnhardt Jr. said, I need to be a little bit tighter over the course of the run. 2 freer near the end. Left side's going on, and he's away.
In right now, just as soon as he went a lap down, crew chief Todd Parrott decided it was time to bring him in right away for 4 fresh ones. This chassis simply has not been where Kenseth wanted it all day long. Biggest problem, bouncing the noise off the racetrack.
Mark Martin will peel off to pit road as we begin this round of green flag stops. We've been under green since lap 117. That's coming up on 2 full rounds of green flag pit stops.
Yeah, Mark Martin was one of the first cars to hit pit road the last set of green stops. Remember, he thought he had a vibration. I would say the next one we'll see is McMurray in the 1 and Newman in the 39. Matt.
208 is when they expected Mark to hit his stall. That's exactly what he did. You can already see the chassis adjustment, significant one, already completed. He was really loose at the beginning of that run. Now he says neutral. Today.
Ryan Newman on his way down pit road. The crew is going to be making an adjustment on the car. Newman says
for the lead. Jeff Gordon comes right back after Jimmy Johnson.
Jeff Gordon got passed by Jimmy Johnson because Jeff wasn't aggressive enough trying to get through that lap traffic. Jimmy caught him, was able to slip by on the high side, but I think you can see how good those 2 cars are. Actually pushing Jeff Gordon down the front straightaway. That will make Jeff Gordon very unhappy.
Now on the last run, they came in 1 lap apart. Johnson 1 lap before Gordon. We'll see how this plays out. You'd never know these 2 are teammates, Darrell, the way they're going at each other right now.
No, sir. They lay it to each other just like they don't know each other.
David Rudiman stopped. Kevin Harvick is in. Robbie Gordon on pit road. Joey Logano and Ryan Newman coming in for their stops along with Regan Smith. 2nd consecutive round of green flag stops underway.
Yeah, those 2 cars there, the 24 and the 48, Gordon and Johnson, should be able to run another 10 laps at least. Krista.
Kevin Harvick is in, and it's about 5 laps earlier than they planned, but his car was getting really tight. You saw the wrench go in. That's the first time a wrench has been in the car all day long. All air pressure prior to this. Dick?
Ryan Newman in his pit, very much angled in his pit. Slow stop on the left rear. Trouble on that corner of the car.
Joey Logano in and out. Same with Regan Smith. And for the moment, pit road is quiet. Gordon half a second over Johnson now, as Jimmy Johnson's going to have to deal with Denny Hamlin for 2nd place.
You know, I think that Jeff Gordon gets a big thrill out of being able to lead Jimmy Johnson around the racetrack. The way Jimmy is a success he's had.
Hamlin coming underneath Bill Elliott, trying to move up. As Brian Vickers and Greg Biffle come to pit road. Krista.
Yeah, and Greg Biffle just trying to get that track position that they'd had earlier in the race. The race car has been better. Remember, they made it just a little bit tighter in on the last stop. You see Biffle come to a stop for his crew to make the changes. They're around on the right side. It's just air pressure adjustment right now for the 16 as they go to work over for a 4-tire stop.
Clint Boyer is the 2nd of the Childress cars to hit pit road as Jeff Gordon continues to log laps.
Now what we've got here, we've got 121 laps to go. For these guys that had to make these green flag stops early in this sequence, it's going to be tough making this race on 1 more stop. But when I look at cars like this 24 car of Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, Denny Hamlin, those guys like that, they may be able to stretch this thing out and make this race on 1 more stop.
Sam Hornish had 1 spin to bring out a caution earlier. Now he's in. Krista.
Yeah, his race car started this race really tight, but they've been making small adjustments since that spin to get back where they need to be. You see another adjustment being made on the 77 as they come around for 4 tires. Sam Hornish had anticipated it to be a little bit tight here in this race. Matt.
Carl Edwards winless in 2009. His last win goes back to Homestead, the last race 2008, 43 races ago. Expected chassis adjustment in the back window. You can see it being completed now. Tear off the windshield. Edwards on the last stop made a track bar adjustment. The car was just too free. They went down on the last stop. A little bit of trouble, and he's away.
Martin Truex, Casey Kane, Paul Menard, and Elliott Sadler on pit road at lap 216.
You know, sometimes, Larry, I know you talk about staying out on old tires, but if you run these races backwards like most of these crew chiefs do, sometimes there's a point in a race when you got to stay out on old tires a little bit longer than you'd like to.
Well, I think this stop here in particular, because like I say, it's putting them almost in a one-stop window. Dick.
Hamlin is in right now. They're going to make a minor adjustment to this car. The car has been strong all day, but not the sharpest car in the field all day. So they're hopeful that this adjustment is going to put him in the position that they want to be. Steve.
Jimmy Johnson heads down pit road. Now his car has gone to the tight side. He said it's tight off turns 2 and 4. He's getting a chassis adjustment, and it's gotten a little bit tight going into 1. 4 tires for Jimmy Johnson. Matt Yoakum.
And the 18 that Kyle Busch is in, they've already completed some adjustments for him. His car just extreme on the loose side. He's away, waiting for his brother. Had a lot of success here in Texas. Looking for more here today from the pole. Steve.
Matt, Jeff Gordon just finished his service. He said his car was just too free. At the start of a run, they made a wedge adjustment for Jeff Gordon.
You know, Larry, if the 24 car loses a lot of ground to the 48, I know why. The 48 came to pit road smoking all 4 tires, Jimmy Johnson did. Jeff Gordon coasted into pit road. And you see right there, that's about how much difference. That's a pass for the lead right there. And the 48 did every bit of that on and off pit road.
88, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is actually the leader because he got advantage of those fresh tires a little bit quicker. But I don't think Dale Earnhardt Jr. can make it on one more stop. 24 to 48, Johnson and Gordon possibly.
The plot thickens with 115 laps to go. 3 Hendrick cars out front. Earnhardt, Johnson, and Gordon. It's at Texas Motor Speedway. We have got a great fight for the lead as Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson keep trading it back and forth. I've got the feeling after several near misses, Jeff Gordon has just decided today he is not going to be denied by that 48 car.
Oh, yeah, but as this race winds down, Jeff Gordon's going to start saying, just like he did in Vegas, has he got anything left?
Well, we know we're going to have at least one more pit stop. But the thing about it, all the racing they've been doing, just look at some of the cars they just put a lap down. They just put their teammate, Mark Martin, in 5 a lap down and just put last week's winner from Phoenix, Ryan Newman, in that 39 Army car a lap down.
These 2 cars are pretty much in a league of their own right now. Dale Jr.'s close, but the 48 with Johnson and 24 with Gordon, they're able to stretch it out pretty good on everybody else.
Yeah, that puts 18 cars on the lead lap with just a little over 100 laps to go. But look, Gordon has really stretched it out on that 48 of Johnson now. This will put everyone with about 100 laps to go in a one-stop window easily to make the end of this race.
It's also going to change the
race. The first Ford is Paul Menard in 7th. And the first Dodge is Kurt Busch in 10th. Pit road will be open, and yes, they have a new commitment cone out there. Let's hope nobody gets to that. Steve Burns.
Listening to the Hendrick Motorsports teammates, Jimmy Johnson says the chassis was freer on entry, but still too tight. Jeff Gordon, his teammate, says we're loose on early entry, we're loose on late exit, but we're good. 4 tires for both of those teams. Dick.
Hamlin pits out of the 4th position. Crew chief Mike Ford called for a very small adjustment. Hamlin asked for a smaller adjustment still. Concerned about the right front blistering. Matt.
Pressure change again for the 3rd straight stop. Lengthy stop. He loses a few spots on pit road.
I want you to see how. Now the question of 2 versus 4 tires was raised in every pit up and down pit road, including Jeff Gordon's.
The 14 took 2 and be used out, so 1.
10-4. No, forward's the way to go. Kevin brought it up. There was a lot of lap cars between us and like 4th and 5th, just like we talked about after Vegas. You know what I mean? Even if they all took rights, there are only a couple are going to beat us. So these 4 tires are going to be what we need.
20 cars on the lead lap as we get set for the restart.
4, 2, none.
Gordon, Stewart, Burton. Jimmy Johnson, Dale Earnhardt Jr. How about this for a Monday? 90,000 people is the estimated crowd at Texas. They would have had about 170,000 had we been able to run yesterday. 97 laps to go. Let's crank it up for the restart.
Tell you what, we got a little rivalry going on here today, boys. That 28, that 48 and Jimmy Johnson, 24, Jeff Gordon, they are after each other. You wouldn't know they're teammates today, would you, Larry?
No, but it looks like the 48's a little better getting in the corner. When he runs the high line, he can hold his ground on the exit. 24 cars are not going quite as deep, Jeff Gordon, as that 48 car is going in the corner.
48's a little tight getting in. You can drive it in a little bit harder if it'll stick.
But look at the aggression and the drive shown by Jeff Gordon.
Whoa, they hit, I'm telling you.
I don't know if he has the best car, but Jeff Gordon has the drive to win this race.
Remember they came by here a little bit ago pushing each other. That time they bounced off each other.
And you know what? I love it. I love Jeff Gordon showing this kind of aggression in that 24 car. Don't back down to nobody.
Well, did you see that piece we did in the pre-race show yesterday where he was out playing with the military? I think he got a little bit of aggression going on. Now Jimmy Johnson's got a left front tire rub. That is trouble.
Burton behind him, then Biffle.
We'll take a look for some tire smoke there.
Kurt Busch and Hamlin. Hamlin's going to fall to Carl Edwards. Then Kyle Busch.
Jimmy Johnson cannot mess around with that left front tire rub. You see that Jeff got up under him, got him loose, and Jimmy Johnson tried to come back down into the side of the 48. I don't think it was intentional.
And also on that restart, Kyle Busch and Paul Menard roughed up each.
Interesting in-car audio from driver Jeff Gordon in the 24 car after contact with his teammate Jimmy Johnson. You talked about how badly he wants to win after getting shoved around the last 2 weeks.
Even if they all took right, there are only a couple are going to beat him. So these 4 tires are going to be what we need.
Well, I agree on the 4 tires. I'm like Darrell. I think the 2 tires with Tony Stewart, with Greg Biffle, even with Jeff Burton not changing any, is totally a short-term game.
We apologize. We had a technical issue there. Trying to hear Steve Letarte. 79 laps to go. We have a new leader. Jeff Gordon on 4 tires ran down Tony Stewart's number 14, caught him, and quickly passed him. And a couple things to clear up. First, when Jeff Burton made his pit stop, he did not get no tires, as the graphic showed, and we've been saying, we've confirmed that he did get 2 tires. It was a 2-tire stop for Burton, not a no-tire stop. And here is the audio between Steve Letarte and Jeff Gordon. Steve Letarte and Jeff Gordon that Steve Burns was trying to lead to, talking about that collision with Jimmy Johnson.
4 times a little upset. I guess they thought you got into him, I guess. Oh, he's treated different than everybody else.
That's the kind of teammate I want, buddy.
But I'm glad we played that audio, because I read an article back during the offseason that Jeff Gordon, you could read that article, and he stated, you know what, I've about had enough of this 48 car dominating our sport. And that's his teammate, and that's a car that he's actually listed as the owner. But remember, Jeff Gordon, even though he's won 4 championships, he hadn't seen the likes of a championship since that 48 car started in 2002.
Just remember, this race is not over. And who's the best closer in the sport?
That would be the car on your screen.
That guy. That guy right there.
Look at this. 1-2 finishes. These 2 drivers have had 10 1-2 finishes. Gordon won 6. Jimmy 4 so far. The record for 1-2 finishes in NASCAR, Richard Petty, David Pearson. 62 1-2 finishes. David won 33 of them. Richard 29.
Pretty evenly matched there.
Oh, and by the way, if you've been with us for the last 3 hours, Rick Hendrick's first win in what's now the Sprint Cup Series came in the car number 5 with Jeff Bodine driving at
Martinsville, Virginia.
Without much success. The rest of Jeff Gordon out front with 68 laps to go in the Samsung Mobile 500.
62 laps to go at Texas. Jeff Gordon leads. Let's check in on the 48 team with Steve Burns.
Chris, lap 272, flat left front tire for the 48, flat left front tire for Jimmy Johnson. They're going to take 4 tires.
You wonder if it had something to do with what happened earlier when Jeff Gordon went toe-to-toe with his teammates. Jeff Gordon, currently our leader, working on leading his 90th lap, followed by Tony Stewart and Jeff Burton.
Yeah, he's right on the outside edge of maybe being his last stop. But yes, definitely, I think the damage on that left front was caused because of the 24. Whenever they're trying to pass, you see Jeff Gordon get on the inside of Jimmy, get him a little bit loose up off the corner. He dives to the inside of him. Jimmy cuts back. Hard contact as far as those 2 cars are concerned, and you start to see the left front start to smoke on the 48. It clearly rubbed the sidewall to the point it made it fail.
That was with 94 laps to go, and as you heard Jeff Gordon on the radio, hey, like any other driver, and Steve Letarte has said, we're going to go after, whether it's 48 or whoever, we want to win the race. If you want to text your fastest pit crew to 225-8, delivered by AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network, you can. Matt Kenseth of the 17 crew had the best time last time, but Jeff, how are you ranking him today?
Right now, Jimmy Johnson's crew's been doing really well, along with Jeff Gordon. They've had some ups and downs, but also the Tony Stewart crew, they've been phenomenal all day long.
It's been 1 year, Mike, since Jeff Gordon has won a cup race. He is leading here, and that is our AT&T race break.
Thanks, Chris. In fact, Gordon's last 2 wins have come on 1.5 mile speedways. As you said, Texas last April, and then Charlotte in November of 2007.
That tire lasted a lot longer than I thought it would. I mean, that fender was working on that tire. Here's the other thing, Larry. Probably couldn't have come at a worse time because he's not quite in his pit window.
Yeah, Jeff.
10 or so laps from the next round of green flag pit stops. Can Jeff Gordon stay out front? Stay tuned. Jamie McMurray made a pit stop out of 16th place. Martin Truex came in along with Keselowski. And here is Montoya, who was 12th when he came to pit road for what he hopes will be the final stop of the day.
And I think you'll see a lot of these guys, with the exception of Jeff Gordon, maybe Tony Stewart, some of the guys at the front, I think you'll see them do the short pitting, trying to gain as much advantage as they can with the fresh tires.
I know that the 24 is our leader, Larry, but he struggles getting through traffic. There's a number of cars that have held him up a good bit, and 31's in Burns.
DW, he says he's not rolling the middle good at all. He says, I'm still loose. He's wanted more grip the entire race, but as you said, lap 111, he had trouble on pit road. He's battled back. Dick.
And Kenseth's a little bit tight, a little bit loose, just arrives in his pit stall now. The crew going to make a minor chassis adjustment in the back of the car. Steve.
Jeff Gordon in the 24 hits pit road, Dick. He says, my exit is really good. I'm just still a little bit tight on entry. They're going to make a small air pressure adjustment, half pound out of the right front to help the 24 car when it lands. Matt.
Jeff Gordon coming on fresh tires. They're in the same corner.
That's right. That would be NFL. Not for long.
I wasn't sure what that was going to mean. But, yeah, Jimmy Johnson's got 2 situations. He's got a rearview mirror full of his teammate, Jeff Gordon, in the 24. And I don't think the 48 can make it to the end, pitted with 62 to go. And there goes Gordon straight to the bottom of the racetrack.
A decisive move to the bottom for Jeff Gordon. Drag race down the back straightaway. Johnson's not going to give it up easy. Johnson floats the high side. Gordon underneath. Can he seal the deal coming off 4?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
No contest. Now, while these guys are going at it, it's about 5.5 seconds back to Tony Stewart in that 14 car in third.
Jeff Gordon's led over 100 laps today. The last 9 times he did that resulted in just 1 victory. And that was the race here last year.
That 24 car is... it's hooked up better than I've seen it since Vegas, really. Thought he had an awesome car at Vegas. Really nice looking car today.
You know, the pit crews practice every week. Maybe we ought to send Jeff out with the special forces every week.
Man.
Wow. He's on a tear.
And Larry, what do we always say? Never
say never.
1-2. Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, 3.2 seconds between them. Steve Letarte versus Chad Knaus. Let's go down to Steve Burns on the leaders.
Well, Darrell, you said never say never, but I asked Ron Malik, the car chief on the 48, that just held up a sign. Do you have to stop again for fuel? He just nodded his head.
Well, and what I see, Steve, is they've not slowed him down any. You know, they're going ahead full bore. In fact, he's running about the same lap times as his teammate Jeff Gordon in the 24. So they're planning on stopping if we don't get a caution.
Jeff Gordon puts the Phoenix winner Ryan Newman down a lap. But Larry, what do your trends say about late race cautions here?
Well, my FedEx understanding the race says average lap 30. My 2010 understanding the race says within the last 10 laps.
Okay.
Yeah, these races, as we know, the leader with 10 laps to go in the last 4 races has not won. So anything can happen with these new green, white, checkered, and a double file restart. Watching the lap times again just on Jeff Gordon. Looks to me like Gordon is being real conservative. Got the comfortable lead. Pretty sure Johnson's probably going to have to stop before the race ends. Looks to me like Gordon's just kind of on cruise control right now.
ODW, back to Mr. Ruderman, back to headed to Talladega. I can't wait for that paint scheme next
gosh.
week.
27 to go. Jeff Gordon holding a 2.8 second lead on Jimmy Johnson.
Lap short of making it to the end. Now, Jeff Gordon has just said the grip has gone away and don't know why, and I'm a little tight in the middle. Jimmy Johnson, meanwhile, said that the car is not as consistent as it's been when I get on the throttle. Let's go to Dick.
Denny Hamlin, a 2-tire change. He's gone already.
And Burton gambled again.
I think the 24 car had to do 4. You can't give a race away because you went with 2. But I definitely do not disagree with the decision on these cars at the front of going with 2 tires. Maybe their only hope of beating that 24 car.
We were watching closely Jeff Gordon's last pit stop, and as they were just talking, he's led the most laps, 124 today. Doesn't mean you're going to end up winning the race.
Well, no, it doesn't mean you will wind up winning the race. But again, they've been kind of up and down all day long. They've been having problems on the exchange in the right rear, slow stops. They've been fast enough all day to overcome it. But now this getting down to crunch time, whether now or not this last change is going to affect Jeff mentally. I think he's on a mission. I think Darrell and all the guys up in the booth have kind of pointed it out. We are seeing a different Jeff Gordon. He's very aggressive. He's not going to take any prisoners today. So it'll be interesting when they drop the green flag what's going to happen.